Here's a preview of what you'll hear on this episode of Beyond the Wheel.
But it is exciting to have 3 EVs come out, the concepts anyway, come out this year is more than I expected to see already.
Me too. I wonder if they all they must keep an eye on each other, that they all released 3 big names all released at the same time at the same show.
Yeah.
They must all know what they're doing. They must all have spy of what's going on.
Now enjoy the show.
You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety, so go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
Whether your adventure is on the road, on the water, or off the grid, Battleborn batteries keep you out there longer.
Hey everyone, Kenny here. Do you travel with pets and are looking for a way to monitor and be alerted of temperature spikes in your RV while away? I've been using a temp stick in our RV for over 3 years, and I love the simplicity of being able to connect to any of our hotspots, as well as not having the hassle of any subscription or service fees. If you are looking for a reliable way to protect your pets while away, check out TempStick at tempstick.com.
This is our first time going live on Facebook. I am very new to Facebook, so I know Facebook is not new, but I am new to it. So luckily we have Sean here. I was about to say in the studio, but in his own studio, figuring all this stuff out for us. I am sitting in my RV in my backyard. Sean's over at his house, and I'm always amazed that we have the technology that we were able to do this show together and then bring on guests even on top of that from other locations all around the world. But,
and usually we're live on YouTube, and this is our first time live on Facebook.
Yeah, just trying something new, something different. And I will say that this is my favorite type of episodes. Hopefully these are your favorites too, is when it's just Sean and I, and we just talk about some of the news that's going on in the RV industry, and we let you guys know about what's going on in our own lives, usually about RVing. We don't get too personal, please. We got some great topics this afternoon. So we're talking about what Sean experienced at the Tampa show, what he saw, what it was of interest to him. We're also talking about some of the large RV manufacturers coming into the market with some electrifying RVs, Winnebago, Thor, and Airstream. We got some big news coming up that we're going to be live at the FMCA show, doing a live broadcast from the FMCA show on the FMCA Facebook page. And that's part of this reason here, is to test this out, make sure, let's see how it all goes. And then we're going to talk a little bit about news around the world and what we have coming up next in our future episodes. So, and of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Battleborn Batteries and TempStick. They are 2 great companies that really care about RVing community and the industry, and they're trying to make RVing more fun and just overall easier and less stress. So let's get this started. I'm going to turn it over to Sean, and Sean just got back not too long ago from the Tampa RV show. And I'm just curious, what did you see there at the show, Sean, that interests you? What really stood out to you?
Well, I will say, I after COVID, well, COVID's still going on, but I think RV shows are back, because there was record attendance at the show with more than 80,000 people attending through the show. And I think they had over 20-something thousand on the first day. So really good. I was there for industry day and then the opening day. And then I had other things to do, so I couldn't stay for all the days. But there was a lot of vendors, more than I expected there, and more RVs than I expected there as well. There was a lot of RVs. It reminded me of the pre-COVID shows, really. There was a couple vendors that I guess didn't show up because they had booths on the map, but they weren't actually there. So that was a little disappointing because one of them was one I was really hoping to see. But the reason I was there was Dragonfly Energy, which we know as Battleborn batteries, and Keystone RV announced their partnership there to provide lithium batteries as an option in Keystone RVs. The great thing I thought about Keystone's partnership with Dragonfly is that they already have several levels of power upgrade, including solar, lithium batteries, and inverter. There's options for all types of RV travelers. So I thought that was really good. I got to interview the team that kind of was instrumental in putting this together. We did it inside the front living area of a 2022 Keystone, Montana fifth wheel, and it was really nice in there. Really nice RV. So I was happy to be able to just chill out in the front living area and interview those guys. A lot of great stuff, and we have the whole episode. It's up on YouTube. It's also in our audio podcast form. So if you're interested, then take a listen. And I think it's a great first step to eliminating lead acid batteries in the RV industry. I learned from these guys that it's not really the manufacturers that are the holdup in adopting new technology like lithium batteries. A lot of times it's the dealers and the dealers' unfamiliarity with the products and hesitancy to put something in an RV or work on something in an RV that they don't really know much about. So this is a good first step in adopting that technology because they're actually going to provide training to the 1,200 or so dealers that service Keystone. I mean, it's a great opportunity to introduce lithium, and then maybe it'll become more mainstream in the RV industry, and we can get rid of the 1960s lead acid technology once and for all.
And I think Keystone is trying to make it a little easier for them because typically towables are shipped without batteries and then the dealer puts them in. But these will be coming with the Dragonfly Energy 12-volt batteries pre-installed. They don't really, there's nothing for them to really need to do, but they do need to understand how that operates and how, what it means for their overall system.
Yeah, and also if you have an older Keystone model, you'll be able to upgrade that through their dealers. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And then, so that was the main thing at the show. I just had a really good time talking to those guys about this big project they've been working on like 2.5 years, I guess it's been. So yeah, nothing's ever fast. But I also got to talk to Air Skirts was there. So that was cool talking to Jim. Like I said, lots of good stuff at the podcast. I mean, at the Super Show. I got to see those new Winnebagos that we had an episode about, the Mini Flex, and I'm blanking on the name of the other one.
The Hike 100.
Hike 100, yeah, and they're well designed. I mean, I really liked them. I like the Flex size better than the 100, than the Hike 100, but they were both great travel trailers, especially for people that like adventure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they look like they're set up for adventure. I see Mike is commenting that the Courtside show was packed this year too. I wonder if they had record numbers as well. And something you had said, Sean, that I was surprised about, and I don't know if we've been to Courtside before too, and they have RVs. You said that there was a lot of RVs at the Tampa show. I wonder if there was a lot of RVs at the Courtside. Maybe Mike can let us know. And if so, I feel like that might be a good sign because production numbers have been so low with trying to get, parts and supply chain issues that dealers, or not dealers, but manufacturers are not putting out the same numbers that they once did. And it's taking, I heard somebody say that they ordered a new Class A and they're looking at a 14-month wait time.
Wow.
For it. So the fact that they had a lot of, maybe not stock, but they actually had product there I think is a good sign.
Yeah. The only level of RV that I didn't see a lot of they're always in their own separate area at the Super Show, but they like the Prevost and the Marathon and those high-end coaches, there weren't as many of those there, but they still had a few there. So it was pretty good.
They're too expensive, Sean. If they're going to make one, they can't let $2 million sit
on the lot. Right.
They can't let them sit on the lot. They got to sell that thing.
And then I also, we're going to jump into the next topic now, but I also had a chance to go see the reveal of the Winnebago ERV, but I missed the other two reveals there just because I was busy, but really impressed with that Winnebago. And I actually got to talk to Jamie, who worked on the project, and they actually put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into this concept vehicle. So I think it's gonna, I mean, we'll let them test it, but I think it's really gonna open the doors for ERVs. And he was even saying like they had to pick out their setup like a couple years ago. And so now the battery technology is even so much better now that they can get more miles out of it already just by switching up the power system.
Yeah, and I like too what Jamie was saying. I don't know if it was in an email or if you told me, but they're actually testing this in real world situations. They're letting people borrow it, take it out for weekend trips, seeing what they think about it, getting feedback on it. So it's like it's a concept, but it's also very operational, very workable concept. People are actually out in it, testing out and getting some feedback of where it needs improvements. And everybody, I would imagine, is going to say it's got to be the range. Range is king when it comes to the EVs, even though I believe it was KOA that told us that most people camp within under 100 miles from their home.
Yeah, I think it was 150, but yeah.
Was it 150?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 150. So I feel like they got to get that, whatever that number is the number they got to be shooting for that range. And at the moment, I think the range is on at 125. But like Jamie said, if that thing were to come out today, it would beat the concept's range.
Right.
Because the technology has already improved.
And I think they've thought of some cool stuff with that. And I don't, like I said, I'm not as familiar with the other ones, but they have a rapid charger along with their regular charger. So you can get a pretty good boost with that rapid charger in a fast amount of time. I think 45 minutes.
Oh, that is fast.
Yeah. You can stop and take a break for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Especially in an RV when you got a bed and kitchen and bathroom. Yeah. In fact, I saw somebody comment, they're like, somebody was complaining, not just about this, but just in EV technology hitting the motorhome industry. Somebody was saying, well, what if this was in a Class A and you could only do 150 miles per charge? And somebody's comment back was, well, that just means you get to do more camping. Now, because every time you stop to charge, now you're using it as a camper. Like, isn't that a good thing? They were totally being sarcastic, but I think they were defending it at the same time. Like, not everybody needs to be able to do 300 miles in a single day while RVing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but Sabrina and I have come off the road full time and we're part timing. And I can tell you that our last 3 RV trips have all been under 70 miles from the house.
Yeah. So you fit the profile.
I fit that profile. Yep. Mike said that there were rigs at Quartzsite. He didn't tour any of them, but they did have them there. So I think that's a good sign. The nice thing too about these ERVs, so Winnebago's actually calling theirs the Winnebago ERV, is because it has that massive battery. It's got an 86,000 watt lithium battery in it. It's what also not only drives the motors, but when you're parked and if you were boondocking or something, it's also what is does most of your functions inside the RV. It's what's powering your refrigerator and your stovetop. Because they were saying that, I'm almost positive he said it was all electric, no propane.
Yeah, no propane.
Yeah, so no generator, no propane. So that power bank that's in there, with it's massive, 86. That's a decent size battery. Is doing all your 110. It does your 12 volt. They must be using step downs because I believe it's actually a 350 volt power system. And then they use step downs for that. So it's very exciting to me. I love EVs and the idea of EVs. I've been driving hybrid for a long time. I'm ready to make a switch to a full EV. I hope Winnebago reaches out to us and says, hey, do you want to borrow this? Maybe, you know what, Sean, what would be great is if they would let us borrow it and then we do a live episode from it or something like that. You know, let it power all of our equipment and everything like that. We might have to reach out to Jamie and see what he thinks.
Yeah.
I don't know if he trusts us or not. And then we both saw that Airstream is coming out with a all-electric Airstream, and it's going to be called the E-Stream. And some of the things that stood out to me, it also has what I think is a very large, so a little bit smaller than what Winnebago is saying right now. So for the E-Stream, 80,000 kilowatt battery, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not a motorhome where, you know, it's still a towable. So I think that's an enormous battery for a tow behind. Now, this does have driving wheels in it so that you can kind of use it to self-park, but more so than that, it will drive a little bit. I'm not really sure how this is working. And I hear people say this could be a good thing or a bad thing. It is going to help with trailer sway. It'll be able to correct itself for trailer sway. It'll also be able to power the wheels to lighten the load on your tow vehicle, whether that be a truck or SUV, to extend, say you're towing it with an EV, it'll then be able to help that your EV vehicle out, if it was a Tesla or whatever it might be, to extend your range in your tow vehicle. So very cool. I mean, the communication, the software that must have to be able to communicate with the tow vehicle to know how much power do we need to give, because anybody that's towed before, like, you wouldn't want something pushing you. So there must be a very fine line. It must be a super complicated software. And I would imagine even if it does give you a push, it must be just like a little helper type of push. And I would guess it's got regen braking in it that could put power back into the trailer. And then when you arrive at your base camp or your stop for the night, I would imagine this E-Stream has plenty of power left over because it also is all electric and supplying the power to all of your appliances. Something else Airstream said was that they took in consideration is wind drag. Airstreams are already, I think, pretty slippery.
Yeah.
But they said this will be their most advanced, what would you say? Like most advanced aerodynamic Airstream. It still, to me, looks like an Airstream. It still has that bullet. I call it a bullet shape. I know it's not really a bullet shape, but it still has that bullet shape. It's like very recognizable as an Airstream, but they're saying it'll be more slipperier than previous Airstreams, which helps, I would think, just in any type of, like, I would think this is something maybe that will transfer over to even their non-EV versions. Like, the more aerodynamic your trailer can be, the better, right? I mean, you do a lot of towing. Sometimes I hear that the aerodynamics, wind drag, can be worse than the actual weight of the vehicle that you're towing. So
I don't understand though. I admit I haven't seen a lot of images of the Airstream E-Stream, but it's saying they have a solar rooftop. I wonder how they're putting that on.
I'm guessing. What you mean as far as, is it integrated into the roof already, or do you mean as power wise?
No, integration.
I don't know either. I didn't notice if it was like a glass roof type of thing with it built in, or are they panels like those flex panels that you just glue to the roof. But if they are those flex panels, I have heard in the past, maybe I don't know if you've heard this either, that the flex panels are great, but they shouldn't be on a roof without a little bit of air circulate to get under them. Like, even though they're kind of made to stick, people have said in the past that they generate a lot of heat, and it would be better to stick them to something else and then put them on your roof, which kind of defeats the purpose of how thin they are. But people are saying it would be best to always have that little bit of airflow even underneath those stick ones. Okay. I'm sure these manufacturers, I'm not knock on wood here and say these manufacturers know what they're doing. Maybe. I don't know if that's really true, but I guess a solar on these RVs would be for the 12-volt system, because you would need massive solar to try to charge an 86 or 80,000 watt battery. It's a drop in the bucket.
As far as capability goes, I would guess that a towable electric is much easier to develop than a motorhome electric.
Yeah, I would say so, because you're taking out that, well, I would say Airstream is not going an easy way about it, because they are putting a little bit of drive motor into that. And the fact that you can like unhook at a campsite and then use a remote control and park it. Airstream, I would say, could probably take the easy way out and just make the whole thing electric, no drive motor, no regen brake, and be done with it, and probably have something out like really quick. But I would say that they're taking it one step further and really putting some innovative and complicated. I think they're really trying to jump a pretty tall hurdle here.
Yeah, that remote control parking is going to save a lot of marriages.
Yeah. I bet you that's true. I know it's like a common joke on t-shirts and stuff, but it's true. Like even back in this, when we first got our motorhome, which is all one piece, not a travel trailer or anything attached to the back, Sabrina would give me the worst. And she'll tell you the worst signs of what to do. I think that is amplified when you talk about backing in an Airstream or something like that. Well, firsthand, you and Julie, backing in your 42-foot Cyclone. I mean...
It was a challenge.
It was a challenge. Could you even see Julie at the back? Like she couldn't stand at the back of the Cyclone, I would imagine, because you would never see her 42 feet away.
Yeah, it's hard. That's part of the trick, is knowing where to stand so that you can see in the mirror where the person is. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a challenge. Now with this little 30-foot Arctic Fox that we have, I hardly use Julie very much in the backing. But that remote control would be nice. Just unhook and straighten it up.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Trailer Valet. Remember we had those guys on a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And they have a system that hooks up to any travel trailer, and you connect it, and then with a remote, you back the trailers in. They weren't really promoting them, and maybe they should have been, but they weren't really promoting them for campsite use, but they were using them for yards, for dealers and manufacturers, so that they wouldn't have to get like heavy equipment like forklifts and stuff like that, or extra tow vehicles. You could just hook up these little robots in the sense. Or they had another one that was more manual, and a person kind of just push behind, like could control it instead of a remote. There might be a pretty, like you said, saving marriages. Maybe Trailer Valet needs to come up with ones that people would just use at a campground.
Yeah. Airstream should use that in their marketing.
Yeah, save your marriage, buy an Airstream. That one's for free, Airstream, if you're listening.
And then the third one that was there was the Thor e-vehicle, the Thor Vision. And
that is a Class C, is that correct?
I didn't see it, Kenny.
Oh, you didn't see it? Okay. Well, looking at pictures, it's like a mix between a B and a C. So I'm not sure, does it fall under a B plus, or would it fall under a C? It's big when I look at it in photos, but I haven't seen it in person either. And I went to Thor's website to try to get some information on it, and they don't have as much information as the other ones as far as like the tech specs. So I couldn't find what size battery pack they had, but they said it's high capacity battery pack. They didn't say the number, and they said it will have a 300-mile range. I don't want to say that I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I find that number very, very hard to believe that they are getting a 300-mile range out of a Class C when Tesla cars are just barely breaking that 300. I mean, that's very difficult to get kind of range out of a vehicle that size. So I don't want to say they're lying, but I believe it when I see it. But they're also saying that they're going to be very advanced, and it's going to be called the Thor Vision, and it's going to be very advanced as far as design. So
I like what they say about the cockpit or driver's area being all digital. That's something that the RV community has needed for a long time. Yeah.
I will say, like in this, in my F53 here, it is a 2016, but it doesn't take much for me not to be able to see the dash very well. Like the lights are kind of dim, and I have no LED, no digital anything on it. It's all analog, and normally that's fine. But the windshields in motorized vehicles for recreational use are very big. I mean, my Class A windshield is enormous. So a lot, I mean, and so are my side windows. So you always you're just being flooded by light and reflections. And digital display for driving would really help, just for me to monitor speed. Something as simple as speed is sometimes difficult to see. It should be a nice driving experience. It'll be quieter than the gas. So I'm really looking forward to these EVs. I'm what will happen, Sean? You're probably not as well versed with motorhomes as I am, just like I'm not that well versed with the towables, because once you take away the engine noise, all you'll hear is everything that creaks and rattles and plates.
Or if there's any sort of air leakage.
Yep. Definitely always hear wind like streaming around something. Yep. I'll hear every plate, every cup, everything. Bells, toys. I'll have all new kinds of sounds to focus on that I never even noticed before.
But it is exciting to have 3 EVs come out. The concepts anyway come out this year is more than I expected to see already.
Me too. I wonder if they all they must keep an eye on each other, that they all released 3 big names all released at the same time at the same show. Yeah. They must all know what they're doing. They must all have spies of what's going on. You saw a couple creative ideas at the show, and we're going to reach out to some people. Yeah. And we already have reached out to some people from the show to have them on.
We've already recorded some episodes.
Hey, don't tell them everything. MCD is one big name that we're in talks with to have them on the show, because I have MCD shades here in my RV, and they're all the standard manual ones, but MCD has apparently now that you can work them off remotes and battery operated. So when you wake up and you want to peek out the window, you don't even have to get out of bed. You just maybe hit a button and your window rolls up and you see what's going on out there.
So then, Kenny, you just went on your first or second kind of part-time trip to a nice state park out there.
Yep. Went to Patagonia State Park. And like Sean said, and I said earlier, I'm not full-timing anymore. So Sabrina and I are now weekend warriors, I suppose you could say, or just part-timers. And we went out to Patagonia for a week. And there is a huge difference. So this is what made me think that maybe we'll talk about it a little bit. There is a huge difference between full-timing in an RV and just part-timing. We did vacations every once in a while in RV while full-timing. You're on vacation, but it doesn't maybe have that same experience as what we just had at Patagonia, as actually taking the RV out for a vacation when you don't live in it anymore. It was really enjoyable, more so than RVing full-time, because when you're full-timing in it, you took a vacation, but you're still in your home. This kind of changed that whole experience. Some of it good, some of it bad. So some of the bad is now we had to pack up the RV, and it took us forever to pack up the RV. And we were 100% sure that we would forget something, which never happens when you're full-time, because you always have everything all the time with you. We actually wound up not forgetting anything, but it's only because we overpacked. We could have stayed out there for 3 weeks. We packed like we were going back on the road full-time. We had so much stuff. It took us forever to pack up that RV, which then you will have to unpack. Yeah. But I'll give a little tip. I'm sure most people know this already. When we got the house, we just started buying two of everything. So we got pots and pans for the RV. We got pots and pans for the kitchen at the house. Anything that can be divided and buy a second of that's not going to break the bank type of thing makes it a little easier when you pack up and break back down again. But yeah, it was so fun. We rented a boat for today. We did hiking. Sabrina did her workouts outside. I don't really do that. I don't jump around in front of our RV. She doesn't seem to get embarrassed. I would be embarrassed if I was jumping around our RV, especially I don't like people watching me. I'm shy, I guess. She doesn't seem to mind. She's in much better shape than I am, though. Maybe that's why. But yeah, it was just a very different feel, because when we packed up from the state park, we knew where we were going. We were going back home and unpacking. Whereas when you're full-timing, once you get a little closer to the end of your stay, you got to start figuring out, well, where are we going next? Where are we going to stay next? maybe dumping tanks and things like that. We have full hookups here at the house. So we just left, came home and emptied the tanks and we were done. Like there was there was no planning at the end of the trip, where it was when you're full timing, you're planning the beginning of the trip, the middle of the trip, and the ending of the trip.
Yeah.
You got to constantly be planning things out. You got to be on your toes. I would say, no 2 days are the same living full time in the RV. And the flip side of that is like every single day living at home seems to be the same. I keep on telling Sabrina, I feel like I'm in Groundhog Day now. We wake up, I do some yard work. I'm still doing like maintaining the RV kind of stuff. It just seems like we do the same exact thing every day. So now it's really exciting for us to get in the RV and do a trip. I told you right before we got started recording, that's right after we're done recording tonight, Sabrina's going to hop in here with me in the RV and we're going to take it boondocking for one night. We're just going to do some dry camping one night about from a place that's about 30 minutes from the house, just because we would we want to see what the sunrises look like out in this one area that has really nice views of mountains and stuff like that. So I think it helps that we're able to keep, just like we're able to keep the RV on our own property. We don't have to go to storage, get it out of storage. I think that part of it makes it more enjoyable, because I remember when we first bought the RV and we were living in an apartment, it was such a hassle to take the RV out, to go to storage. The storage facility where it was located, we lived in a city, so the storage where it was located was down this little narrow street and was nerve-wracking to try to get out. And I'm in this RV almost every day, just back and forth, grabbing stuff, tinkering with stuff. I try to do all the recordings from here.
Yeah, that was on our list of criteria for any homes that we've looked at, we had to be able to park the RV on our property.
If anybody is listening and you're thinking about coming off the road and you think, do we want to park the RV on property or storage? Being able to see it, keep an eye on it. I don't winterize it, so if I need to come out here and turn the heat on real quick, it's super easy. Just so nice to have the RV in a place that sometimes Belle, Sabrina, and I will hop in the RV and we just drive it for a day, go up to some place, we park for the day. It's just so easy having it on your property.
Yeah.
Huge difference. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about, so I'm going to be using it when we're boondocking, but I've been testing it out for a little bit and I've used it now at the state park. I bought a little electric kettle. It's something silly, something little, but I really like this little electric kettle to heat up water. It's like 750 watts. I could not tell you the name of the manufacturer now. It's eluding me. It's a weird name. What I like about it is when I'm at the state park and I was using it, I'm saving a little bit of propane from heating up my water for my coffee and things like that in the morning. The second thing I like about it, it heats water faster than my propane stove would with a kettle. So in about 2 minutes, way under 3 minutes, the water's boiling in this kettle, which is really nice. So it's really quick and I get my coffee real fast. I made it for a couple soups. I've been testing it here on the property. I'll unplug the RV. So the other thing I like about it is that it's going to be great for boondocking trips. And I'm going to take it on this little overnight that we're about to do now, because we have a 1,000 watt inverter in our RV. And now with the Battleborn batteries that I have in here with the lithium power, it's nothing to power this kettle. So I don't need to fire up my generator to, say, microwave water for Belle. So people are going to think Belle's really spoiled here, but Belle gets dehydrated food. And I heat up her water and I mix it with her dehydrated food and everything. And normally I could have just done that with propane, but I'm going to save propane by just using this little electric kettle. I already got the batteries. I got the inverter. It's a nice little, it's collapsing, it folds. Maybe I'll put some pictures in the show notes and I'll have the name of it. I'm not trying to promote any certain brand. I'm sure there's a ton of little electric kettles out there that you can use for the same reason, but I'd like the ability to kind of save a little. Propane's really expensive right now.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps. I just felt like, why not take full advantage of our Battleborn batteries that we have in here and start using the power. And then, at campgrounds, use it instead of the propane. So it just seems to make a lot of sense.
Do you know if they sell a 12 volt adapter, then you wouldn't even need to use the inverter?
Mm-hmm. This one did not, but I wouldn't doubt that there's somebody. I wonder though, when you're, that's a good question, Sean. I feel like 12-volt devices are normally limited on wattage, like just how much, like a cigarette lighter and those 12-volt, unless they're been specially designed. I feel like they're usually low watt, right? Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can get a high wattage out of them. I don't know. I didn't see one that runs off 12-volt, but you're right. That would be even better, because then you're not, because there's always a loss when you're converting your power.
Right. Yeah.
I don't pay attention to it because I got battle-born batteries that have plenty of power. But if you didn't have lithium batteries, I mean, that would be a big deal. Yeah. I mean, any loss, you don't want to take any loss. That's a great question. I will look that up. I don't know the answer to it. You stumped me, Sean.
But it is nice that it's only, what'd you say, 700?
750. Yeah, 750 watt. And I know they made like smaller wattage ones, but this one got pretty good reviews. And with the higher wattage, it just boils the water that much faster. So even though the wattage is higher, you're boiling faster, which means that you're running it for a shorter period of time, which saves a little. I don't know. I'm sure there's a breaking point. Sometimes you purchase things and you're like, you're not sure. This was a great purchase. I really like this little kettle. I'm going to put it up on Instagram and do a little story about it.
And you got it on Amazon, right?
Got it on Amazon. Man, you can't beat Amazon. Find anything on Amazon. Yeah. Amazon's just tough to beat these days, especially nowadays with supply issue chains. I don't think I have gone to Amazon and they have told me, sorry, out of stock. But I've gone to like RV dealers and found things out of stock. I've been to Target with things out. Amazon seems to be well stocked somehow. I have no idea how.
Now, exciting news, Kenny.
Yeah,
we are going to be at the FMCA rally, doing live shows every morning, broadcasting, I believe, on the FMCA Facebook page.
Yeah, that's huge for us. That is a big deal. So we had Chris Smith, the CEO of FMCA, on our show a couple months ago. He really enjoyed his time talking with us. We chatted with him, before and after the episode, and during the episode as well. He really liked how the episode turned out. They do a rally every year in Tucson, and he invited us to come to Tucson and wants us to do a morning show. So this is going to be very new territory for us as far as doing like a live show. We're going to try to interview 2 guests per day, every day of the show. Sean, is the show the 23rd through the 26th of March?
I believe those are the dates, yeah.
Yeah. We are going to be broadcasting live on their Facebook page, which has something like 50,000 members or followers, whichever you want to call it. They're going to set us up in a tent. I mean, we're still working out details, but we're going to have our own tent there. And if you want to come by and say hi to us, we'll be there. Just don't say hi to us while we're live recording. But we're going to be hanging out at the show. We'll meet people. We're going to do the episode. I think I'm super excited about this. Really, really excited about it.
Yeah, and after doing the live episode at the Tampa show, I'm really excited about, we got some new equipment that would be good for this type of thing, and I think it's going to turn out great. So I'm really excited about it too.
Yeah, if you listen to the live episode that Sean did from Tampa with Keystone and Dragonfly, and if you listen to it just like I listened to it, it's hard to believe that was live, because the equipment that we picked up does such a great job. Like, that is very crisp, very little background noise. I said to Sean, it's almost too good because you can't hear the people walking around. I felt like it almost lost. If there's one complaint about it, it's like that it was too good. You kind of lost the feel that was live because it was so clear and so crisp.
Yeah, so
it didn't sound live.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this, and I think we'll get some good content out of it for sure.
Yeah. This will be our first time. So this won't be our first time doing live episodes, because we did one live with KOA. You just did this one, but this will be our first time live with an audience, because they're talking about possibly having this tent and then putting a couple chairs in there so that people could watch us.
Yeah.
That makes me nervous. That's the part that gets me. I'm like, an audience?
If you're interested, if you're not going to be at the FMCA rally, you tune in on Facebook every day, and we'll be on there talking to some of the folks there, vendors who are there at the show. So it'll be exciting.
Yeah, and we're still working out times and stuff like that, but it's sounding like 10 a.m. to noon, so 2 hours a day, and that would be Mountain Time.
Yeah.
So 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So if you're not following the FMCA Facebook page, go ahead and follow it now, because we'll be over there shortly. Really, I mean, that's not that far away from now. March 23rd, it'll be here before we know it.
And if you're going to be there, stop by and say hi.
Yeah, definitely. And this is exciting for Sean and I too, because Sean and I live on opposite ends of the country, so we don't get to run into each other too often. So this is really great that we're both going to be at the same event. And
so now into some RV news, Kenny.
Yeah, terrible news from Austin, Texas. 34 catalytic converters were stolen at an Austin RV dealership. The damages were estimated to be close to $100,000.
And that's one dealership, right?
A single dealership.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. KVUE from ABC, local news there, had a story about it. I remembered this being a thing, like people stealing catalytic converters. I haven't heard of anybody hitting a dealership and knocking them, like a bunch of them all out like this. I've heard of people like boondocking and having it done, and parked on their street somewhere and have nothing like this. 34 all in a row.
Yeah.
It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, and that takes 34 RVs off the market in this really competitive market already.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. But now now they can't sell them this way until they put catalytic converters in them, and their things are already delayed as they are.
Yeah, hopefully the dealership insurance will cover a lot of that. But if not, that's huge.
It's a big hit.
Yeah.
It's a huge hit. Hopefully they can catch the people that did it. I mean, pretty terrible.
I think, Kenny, by the end of the year, there's going to be some smart person out there is going to develop some catalytic converter anti-theft thing for RVs and big trucks.
The police are saying, and I don't know if this is true, but the police are saying something as simple as taking orange spray paint and spraying your catalytic converter could persuade a criminal not to take your catalytic converter, because if they would steal that one and bring it somewhere to sell, the junk, a lot of times they bring them like junkyards, scrap yards, and things like that. If for whatever reason, a scrapyard would look at it and it has any type of markings on it, a lot of times they assume it's stolen and they don't really want to deal with it. So police are saying that, if you spray paint it bright orange, then the thief might take a look at it and be like, all right, I'll just go to I'll go to your neighbor. I'll go to your neighbor's RV and take theirs instead. Because I guess even if you would like spray it orange, and for them, it's just extra work for them to try to scrape all that orange off or repaint it. And if it looks repainted, then that might be a reason too that a scrapyard would reject it if they see that it looks like maybe it was repainted again. So
the secret is listen to our tip, but don't tell your neighbor.
Yeah, keep that one to yourself. And it's just like some type of element inside these converters that make them worth money, because I don't even think the scrapyard is reselling them as functioning catalytic converter. I think they're scrapping them and taking the metal out of them. Yeah, it's not like they're being reused or resold. Yeah, there's some type of material in them that's worth something, almost like copper and wire. But this is it's something else in this catalytic converter that's worth money.
Okay.
Just the material alone. And speaking of money, Lippert showing record sales, 4.5 billion revenue for 2021. Billion.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And that is crazy. That's crazy.
With the supply chain shortages and all, they said it's 73% increase during the year compared to 2020.
Yeah.
That's...
And 2020, I thought, was a good year too.
Yeah.
Well, 2020, they had 2.6 billion, so not a bad year either.
Yeah. So they're proof that the RV industry is still going strong.
I never really thought about Lippert as this way, but the CEO compares the he doesn't compare them. I compare them this way, but the CEO said that they are like the OEM for the RV industry. So it made me kind of think of like maybe Mopar is for Dodge. I didn't ever really thought about it that way, but I guess that's true. A lot of the parts that are on our RVs come from Lippert. It may be the steps. It could be Lippert, I think, owns Furrion. So it could even be some of your appliances that are in your RV. It could be your jacks. So it does make sense. They make a lot of these components for the RV manufacturers, and all of them, not just one in particular. So
we recently just read that they make chassis.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yep, make towable chassis. And I just never realized. I always knew that Lippert did a lot. I just didn't realize just how much, I guess. I didn't know they were doing $4.6 billion a year.
Yeah. It's incredible.
That is unbelievable to me. Those numbers always sound like Monopoly numbers whenever I hear stuff like that. Yeah. And I believe it was the CEO. I don't want to misquote him, but I felt like they thought that this trend was going to continue, that sales are not slowing down. It's a good sign for the RV industry, and sometimes it's a bad thing. It makes it more difficult to get into campgrounds. It's slows down your wait times, or increases your wait times, I guess I should say, increases your wait times to get your motorhome and hit the road, and it increases your service time that you're waiting for your RV to get back to you for repairs. Which reminds me of couple episodes coming up. We're talking to My RV Resources, and it's a company that started out with RV inspection, and based off of that got so many requests for service questions that they made a second business called RV Service Directory. And it reminds me of that because not so much on the service side, but just how important it is to get an RV inspection done on an RV before you purchase it, so it doesn't wind up back in the service center again. They'll be coming up soon as an episode. We already recorded with them. Super nice people. Very interesting story of how they took one business, and from that business grew a second business out of it. Really cool story. Before they come on the show, though, we do have Nomad RVs. They are a custom van build company, and it was really interesting to hear his story as well, as what he is able to build and the components that he is able to put into van builds, and just how much power, solar wise and lithium power, that he's putting into these. And if you go to his Instagram page, which will be in the show notes, he's got some really high end looking vans. And when he told us the prices of the vans, they didn't sound as expensive. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I was expecting him to say way more money than what he threw numbers out to us for what he's putting in.
Yeah, because they're less than some of the manufactured vans.
Yep, and they're one-offs. That's usually makes, they're custom. You call him, you tell him what you want, he works out a budget with you, takes you through all the steps, tells you what's feasible and these are tailored to exactly, he is also, a little spoiler alert, he is talking about making some vans for his own dealer stock that you could just purchase. But for the most part, it is, you get to design and get every little item you want in your van. He again, really cool episode coming up. That will actually be that's the next episode after this.
That's the next episode, yeah.
Yeah, so in 2 weeks, we'll have him on.
I think that's it, Kenny.
I think that is it. I'm about to ask you, Sean, is there any other questions I might have missed, or anything you would like to add to that? So we end every episode. But before we do go, we definitely want to thank our sponsors again, Battleborn Batteries and Tempstick. We have a good relationship with both those companies and the owners of both those companies. We have chatted with them, off the record type of thing. Really nice people, all the owners involved, the employees involved with both those companies, really great companies. And I'm not saying that just because they support us and sponsor us. They really are good companies. And if you're thinking about ways to monitor temperature in your RV, definitely check out Tempstick. We love them because there are no contracts or service fees. You buy the device one time and you get all the services included in that one-time purchase fee. check out the episode with Jason from Tempstick, because he explains why that is. He pretty much lays it out in plain terms, that he's like, it's so little of a feature that, or it didn't occur to him that he should be charging for it. He said it wasn't that difficult for him to come up with all the services. He's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
And if you've been thinking about lithium batteries, this is a great time to do so. To pull the trigger on it. Battleborn batteries are at the lowest price they've ever been before. They've recently lowered all the prices on all their batteries. They now have heated battery systems. If you do a lot of cold, you must be doing cold winter RVing if you need to heat these batteries, because I've done cold camping and I've never had a problem. But if you're doing extreme cold, they have a solution for you where you can buy their batteries now with a heating system built into it. So check out both those companies, battlebornbatteries.com and tempstick.com. I was going to say, let them know that we sent you there. I have no idea how you let them know that. But if you can figure out a way to let them know, let them know.
And we want to thank our listeners as well, because we really enjoy doing this podcast and we want people to listen. So thanks to those that do listen and everybody that provides feedback to us, because we really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Take care, everybody. Safe travels, and we will see you next time.
This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety. So go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. Hey everyone, Kenny here. Do you travel with pets and are looking for a way to monitor and be alerted of temperature spikes in your RV while away? I've been using a Tempstick and RV for over 3 years, and I love the simplicity of being able to connect to any of our hotspots, as well as not having the hassle of any subscription or service fees. If you are looking for a reliable way to protect your pets while away, check out Tempstick at tempstick.com.